Hello, hello. Welcome back to Chats and Chapters podcast, YouTube channel. I'm Caitlin Howarth. I am so excited for today's episode because we are going to talk about line editing. First of all, happy January 2026. Happy New Year. We're all excited. If you missed last week's episode, I talked through tips and planning, goal setting to hit your writing goals for this year. So if you missed that, go back, listen to that, check that out. Today, we're going to talk about line editing. I love line editing. It's not my favorite because copy editing is my favorite, but I do love line editing. And I think it is so important for you as a writer, as the author, to go through your story on a line level and improve it before you give it to beta readers, any family to read it, an editor, anything like that. It's so important for you as a writer to self-edit your work. Today's podcast is pulled directly from my revision roadmap course, which will be coming back. So if you are interested in step-by-step guidance through your revision process, check out the link in the description or in the show notes, depending if you're watching on YouTube or if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and join the waitlist so you're the first to know when it is available again. The revision roadmap, broken down into stages that I suggest for authors and writers to go through with their manuscripts. I already did the developmental edit one. If you want to go back on wherever you listen to podcasts or on my YouTube channel, you can watch what I suggest for developmental edits. But today we're going to talk about line edits. So the main focuses for line edits are going to be sensory details, passive voice evaluation, filler and filter word elimination. Most of the time, there are instances where you keep them. Show versus tell analysis, and then repetition and variety check. So those are the things that I want you to look at as you're going through line edit. I am going to go over them quickly for today's episode. There is more detail within the course, and you get calls and you can ask me questions and everything like that. So I do suggest developmental edits first and possibly beta readers. However, this really is going to be, it depends on how strong of a writer you are right off the bat. So if you did your first draft, you did the developmental edits, you can technically send it to beta readers, but you want it to be solid so that they can give you feedback on what you want feedback on. If they are giving you feedback on like, oh, you have a lot of repetition, or oh, like this word is weird, or this, that, like things that you would automatically pick up on, but it sidetracks them to where they can't concentrate on what you want them to concentrate on, then I suggest doing not a really, really strict in-depth line edit pass before, but just read it out loud, have Microsoft Word read it to you, and you'll pick up on if it sounds kind of wonky. And you want to make sure that your story is good to go before you jump into line edits. Another prerequisite that I suggest is you want to have time away from your manuscript after completing the developmental edits. So you want to finish your first draft, you want to have time away, let your brain breathe, same thing I suggested for the developmental edit episode, and then you want to take another break and then come back for line edits, because it's very difficult to pick up on some of these things if you have been staring at the same document, the same manuscript, the same story, the same characters, same setting, same everything for months and months and months and months and months. So give it a break, pick up another hobby, all of that good stuff, and then come back and work on the line edits. In line editing is the art of your storytelling. So we're going to focus on how your story flows from scene to scene and paragraph to paragraph. That's why I said you want the structure and the character arcs and everything like that to be solid before you jump into worrying about your word choice and everything. Sensory details is the first thing that we go over in the course, and it is really easy to rely on sight only when you're writing. What I encourage writers and authors who join the course to do is during line edits, try to include more senses where it's appropriate and it adds value to your story. If you have ever read Erin Morgenstern, I will talk about her until the day I die. Okay. If you get tired of that, I'm so sorry, but also not, because she does such a great job at adding in more sensory details than just what you can see. Like, we don't just need to know what the tapestry looks like. We don't just need to know what kind of couch, like what color the couch is. So she does really well with smells. And I love this because scents trigger memory and emotion, and it ties your story to things after the readers have finished. I obviously love Erin Morgenstern. I love the Starless Sea. Every time I see bees, honeys, anything like that, I have a bee ring now because I love it so much. She talks about the sweet scent of honey, and so it ties your story. Your readers are going to be reminded of your story, of your characters after they have finished reading it. And I think that is important for you to keep in mind as you're going through editing and writing, is if you can tie that into your story. I'm not saying every time they walk into a room to describe every smell and the perfume and this, that, and the other. But if it makes sense and if it will add a value to your story, add it in there where you can. If your characters drink the same tea, you can describe the scent of the tea, that it's kind of sweet, but it has like a bitter bite, or it smells like lavender, or this, that, and the other. And you can have that to where, readers who really love your book and really resonate with it, when they see lavender or they smell lavender, they're going to be like, oh my God, that one book. Like, I see honey and smell honey and put honey in my tea, and I'm like, the Starless Sea, and I love it. So look for opportunities to engage multiple senses and add in those sensory details to make it more immersive for your readers where it makes sense. So, second topic that we focus on within the course is passive voice evaluation. So passive voice shifts the focus from the doer of the action to the recipient of the action. You want to keep an eye out on this. For example, the door was slammed by Grace is passive. The door is the object that we are focusing on instead of Grace. So to correct that, Grace slammed the door. It's active. The door actually didn't do something. Grace did something. Another example is the ball was thrown by the pitcher. Change that to the pitcher threw the ball. This is how we observe things in real life. Like, I wouldn't particularly say like the door was slammed by Brad, who's my husband. Like, I would be like, Brad slammed the door. Like, it's more natural most of the time. So you do want to keep passive voice when there are instances, and this is where if you read it out loud, you have Microsoft Word read to you, you can see the instances. And so if it sounds more natural in the context, keep it in passive voice. If the character is unknown or unimportant, you can keep it in passive voice because we're not like super concerned with that character. Or if you want to emphasize the action itself over the character, that is when you can leave it with passive voice. But for the majority of the time, you do want it to be in active voice, where you are putting the focus on the doer and not of what is actually happening. Okay. Third step I want you to look for is filler and filter words. And this, we are specifically looking at the narrative. We are not looking at dialogue, because obviously these are words, people say them, they are natural within it, like this is how they speak, but we're looking at it within the narrative, not dialogues. Filter words are often used to express sensory experiences and create distance between the readers and the characters. The main thing is that this is going to take your reader out of the character's head. So She saw the cat leap onto the table. He could feel the cold wind. He realized she was mad at him. No, the cat leaped onto the table, and that is how we are within the character's head. We are experiencing it at the same time that the character is. We are not reading that, oh, they realized this, or oh, she saw the cat, or he could feel the cold wind. Like, no, the wind bit his face. Like, we understand that wind is cold, and it feels like a bite. It feels very sharp on the skin. We understand that. Readers understand that. We are experiencing it with the characters as they are experiencing it. So if you have a lot of filter words like see, feel, heard, hear, looked, watched, noticed, decided, felt, all of that, you want to get into the character's head and describe things as they are happening and not telling us what the character is seeing or feeling or realizing. That is a huge one. So look for filter words. You can search these words within your manuscript and see how often they pop up, and you can flag them and go back through and then revise them a little bit. Next up is filler words. Filler words are just excess words that don't add anything to your story and make it clunky. I love deleting filler words. They make me so happy. The one that I see the most is had is just 9 times out of 10 not necessary. It's not necessary. You don't need it. There are some instances, like I said, there are some instances where we keep these things, but for the most part, you don't need it. I had told him he should let me go to the concert. No, I told him he should let me go to the concert. Had doesn't change the meaning of the sentence. Taking it out, it's still the same sentence. It's just one word short, and it flows a lot better for the readers. The next example is suddenly there was a knife at my neck. Within a blink, a knife was at my neck. So suddenly, extremely, quickly, literally, almost, hardly, all of these, anytime you say suddenly or all of a sudden, it's automatically not sudden for the readers because you just warned them that something was going to happen. Instead, you just say a knife bit at my neck. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I hope this is coming across well. You have another example. She ran quickly. She sprinted to catch the last train. He said softly. No, he whispered. Just eliminate the word softly and make it a better verb, a better description for the readers. You want to keep filler words when they emphasize the character's perception, and when removing them changes the meaning. Like I said, I had told him he should let me go to the concert. Removing had doesn't change the meaning, so it can be removed. Not a big deal. We love it. We love deleting them. I love the line through it. It makes me so happy. Next up is show versus tell. And once again, I have an Erin Morgenstern example here because it's who I am in my bones. Show versus tell. Ask yourself, are you explaining or allowing the readers to interpret? I highly suggest the Emotional Thesaurus, a writer's guide to character expression. It is very helpful to get the descriptions and like the activities and like what your character's face would do and how they would stand and like all of that body language that you can describe for your readers without telling them he was mad, he was frustrated, she was sad. Like you can describe it without straight up saying it, and it's more engaging for your readers. So, example, Erin Morgenstern, Prospero the Enchanter is not excited to meet his daughter. That is telling, straight up telling. Thanks. Good to know. Moving on. Now, what is actually in the book is Prospero the Enchanter's immediate reaction upon meeting his daughter is a simple declaration of fuck. That is showing. The point is made, but in the first line, the author tells us, and in the second one, We understand. We get it because like you're not going to say that if you're excited to meet your daughter. You're not going to say that if you're like thrilled about this opportunity. An excited father wouldn't have that reaction. So the second one is describing what is going on. It is allowing the reader the freedom to interpret the scene. So whether they think of it as, oh, he's not excited, or oh, he's shocked, he's confused, he's like, oh shit, this is unfortunate. Like he obviously had no idea. Therefore, you're letting the readers experience what is happening on the page without telling them exactly how to feel. They can have slightly different like they'll get the point across. They'll obviously know that he's not excited, but they might use a different word, and that is where you get the fun of storytelling and having your readers experience it and go through your story within their own lens, basically. Other examples is she was angry. You could change it to she slammed the door and crossed her arms. That is classic. Someone is angry. That's what they do. The house is spooky. You change that to shadows crept across the peeling wallpaper. Sounds pretty creeps mageeps to me. So the key here is to describe what you observe with your senses and not telling the readers how to feel. Also, 100% keep this in mind. Be aware of sharing things that your characters wouldn't know. So they are not mind readers. They're not going to magically know like, oh, she's angry, or she feels anxiety because this, that, and the other, something that happened last week mixing with her car trouble, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, she's just going to be like biting her nails, maybe rocking back and forth, like really looking around, kind of anxious. Describe what is happening and not the feelings that you want the readers to feel. Okay. Last one is repetition and variety check. The big one here. I love me some repetition check, okay? I do this in copy editing all the time. If authors have done their own line edits and I didn't do the line edit, it's so satisfying. It's so satisfying. Okay, so the less common the word or phrase, the more it will stand out in close proximity. So you want to look for your favorite words you tend to overuse, repeated sentence beginnings, echoing words in close proximity, or crutch phrases that you rely on. An echoing example is Marie charged into the room. There you are, she said. Harvey responded, it isn't what you think. The girl in his lap rolled her eyes. I think it's pretty obvious. See you in court, Marie yelled as she charged out of the room. So she charged into the room, she charged out of the room. That is echoing. You have the same word repeated on like that's going to be on the same page. It would trip me up. You want to look for those echoing words. Also, I feel lost after his death. At a loss, I don't know what to do. So it's not the exact same word, but it's close enough that you want to change it. I feel lost after his death. I don't know what to do. You don't even need at a loss at all, in my opinion. Some crutch phrases or words are it hit me, I realized, which we already talked about those. They pull the reader out, unless, like I said, it's in dialogue, really and had. So in order to find your common habits, try searching some of the words that I mentioned and see how often they show up. And you can flag them, like I said, edit them, switch them out, use your thesaurus, use Google, switch out words, add some variety in there so that you're getting your point across in the best way possible for your readers and really immersing them within your story and your characters, and they're not going to be pulled out because there's a wonky word or phrase or it's repeated or every sentence within one paragraph has started the same way. Mix it up, work on the flow. So I hope that you found this self-editing, line editing video episode helpful. Once again, if you are interested in joining the revision roadmap course, you can find the waitlist link in the description below or in the show notes, whether you're on podcast or you're on YouTube. I would love to see you in there. If you join the waitlist, you'll be the first to know when it is released. You will get the calls that go over everything, much like what we went over today. You'll get templates, links, examples, office hours with me to come and ask questions and get personalized feedback on your story that you're working on. It is so much fun. I love running this course. So if you are interested in the revision roadmap, join the waitlist, and I'd love to see you inside. Please follow the podcast if you have enjoyed this. Follow me on YouTube, and thank you so much for listening. I will see you next week.